Taking control of your thoughts. Welcome to this week's edition of Friday's Food for Thought. Scientists estimate that the average person has about 50,000 thoughts per day. Now, if that's true, I would venture to say the average reverse mortgage professional has 70,000. It's not the thoughts themselves that may cause us to struggle, but what we do with them. Now, when faced with sudden change, upheaval, or uncertainty, we will benefit by better learning how to manage and control our daily thought life. This is key since the majority of our unconscious thoughts may be negative in nature. So, here are some tips that I have found useful and perhaps may help. Number one, face it. Stop and look at the thought for what it is. I have often had to say stop aloud to reframe my state of mind. This is a disciplined approach which requires me to take every thought captive. In other words, take control and be the boss, not the servant of my thoughts. Only when we stop and face a thought can we truly evaluate its validity. Number two, erase it. Now, if it's an irrational or fearful or counterproductive thought, hit the delete button. It may try to come back again, but exercise your discipline in saying, no, I will not dwell on this any longer. This may border along the edges of denial, some may say. However, one could argue it is more healthy to be in control of your thought life than passively going along for the ride. Number three, replace it. Erasing the thought will only work short term unless you replace the negative or fearful thought with its opposite. Now, this step cannot be skipped. For example, one may think, I'm going to fail with all these changes and restrictions. After erasing such a fearful imagination, you could replace it with a statement like this: I have struggled before and succeeded despite bad circumstances, and I will most likely do the same again. Now, it's not denial, but rather a disciplined approach to managing our thought life. Number four, accept it. Okay, so if the worst case scenario does become reality, what's the worst thing that can happen? Now look at that outcome and prepare to accept it. Next, seek ways to improve that worst case scenario. Number five, take note. When a fearful, imaginative, or positive or devastating thought takes root, write it down. Avoid filtering the thought and just note it. Now then review these thoughts several months later. Now what I found was that the worst thoughts, the most fearful ones, never came to pass, and the positive ones actually became reality. Number six, don't judge. Avoid the trap of beating yourself up for the thoughts you have, but rather evaluate yourself by what you do with them. Now, we are challenged to process vast amounts of information, change, and upheaval, and therefore our ability to effectively process and somewhat manage our thought life will be the key in the coming year. Now, in what ways do you successfully control and manage your thought life? Share your thoughts and experiences below, and have a great weekend.